Inside the yard, a stable boy took Sweetfoot for him. Dunk slung Sir Arlen's battered shield over his shoulder and followed the guard's captain back of the stables to a turret built into an angle of the curtain wall. Steep stone steps led up to the wall walk. "Come to enter your master's name for the list," the captain asked as they climbed. "It's my own name I'll be putting in." "Is it now?" Was the man smirking? Dunk was not certain. "That door there, I'll leave you to it, and get back to my post." When Dunk pushed open the door, the steward was sitting at a trestle table, scratching on a piece of parchment with a quill. He had thinning grey hair and a narrow pinched face. "Yes," he said, looking up. "What do you want, man?" Dunk pulled shut the door. "Are you Plummer, the steward?" "I came for the tourney, to enter the lists." Plummer pursed his lips. "My lord's tourney is a contest for knights. Are you a knight?" He nodded, wondering if his ears were red. "A knight with a name, perhaps?" Dunk. Why had he said that? "Sir Duncan, the Tool." "And where might you be from, Sir Duncan the Tool?" "Every place. I was squire to Sir Arlen of Pennytree since I was 5 or 6. This is his shield." He showed it to the steward. "He was coming to the tourney, but he caught a chill and died, so I came in his stead. He knighted me before he passed with his own sword." Dunk drew the long sword and laid it on the squared wooden table between them. The master of the lists gave the blade no more than a glance. "A sword it is, for a certainty. I've never heard of this Arlen of Pennytree. However, you were his squire, you say?" "He always said he meant for me to be a knight, as he was. When he was dying, he called for his long sword and bade me kneel. He touched me once on my right shoulder and once on my left, and said some words, and when I got up, he said I was a knight." "Humph!" The man Plummer rubbed his nose. "Any knight can make a knight, it is true, though it is more customary to stand a vigil and be anointed by a septon before taking your vows. Were there any witnesses to your dubbing?" "Only a robin up in the thorn tree. I heard it as the old man was saying the words. He charged me to be a good knight and true, to obey the 7 gods, defend the weak and innocent, serve my lord faithfully, and defend the realm with all my might, and I swore that I would." "No doubt." Plummer did not deign to call him sir. Dunk could not help but notice. "I shall need to consult with Lord Ashford. Will you or your late master be known to any of the good knights here assembled?" Dunk thought a moment. There was a pavilion flying in the banner of House Dundarian, the black with purple lightning. "That would be Sir Menfred of that house." "Sir Arlen served his lord father in Dawn 3 years past. Sir Menfred might remember me." "I would advise you to speak to him if he will vouch for you. Bring him here with you on the morrow, at this same time." "As you say, my lord." He started for the door. "Sir Duncan," the steward called after him. Dunk turned back. "You are aware," the man said, "that those vanquished in tourney forfeit their arms, armour, and horse to the victors, and must need ransom them back." "I know. And do you have the coin to pay such ransom?" Now he knew his ears were red. "I won't have need of a coin," he said, praying it was true. "All I need is one victory. If I win my first tilt, I will have the loser's armour and horse or his gold, and I can stand a loss myself." He walked slowly down the steps, reluctant to get on with what he must do next. In the yard, he collided with one of the stable boys. "I must speak with Lord Ashford, master of horse." "I'll find him for you." It was cool and dim in the stables. An unruly grey stallion snapped at him as he passed, but Sweetfoot only whickered softly and nuzzled his hand when he raised it to her nose. "You're a good girl, aren't you?" he murmured. "The old man always said that a knight should never love a horse, since more than a few would like to die under him. But he never heeded his own counsel either." Dunk had often seen him spend his last copper on an apple for Old Chestnut or some oats for Sweetfoot and Thunder. The palfrey had been Sir Arlen's riding horse, and she had borne him tirelessly over thousands of miles, all up and down the 7 kingdoms. Dunk felt as though he were betraying an old friend, but what choice did he have? Chestnut was too old to be worth much of anything, and Thunder must carry him in the lists. Some time passed before the master of horse deigned to appear. As he waited, Dunk heard a blare of trumpets from the walls, and a voice in the yard. Curious, he led Sweetfoot to the stable door to see what was happening. A large party of knights and mounted archers poured through the gates, 100 men at least, riding some of the most splendid horses that Dunk had ever seen. "Some great lord has come." He grabbed the arm of the stable boy as he ran past. "Who are they?" The boy looked at him queerly. "Can't you see the banners?" He wrenched free and hurried off. The banners. As Dunk turned his head, a gust of wind lifted the black silk pennon atop the tall staff, and the fierce 3-headed dragon of House Targaryen seemed to spread its wings, breathing scarlet fire. The banner-bearer was a tall knight in white scale armor, chased with gold, a pure white cloak streaming from his shoulders. 2 of the other riders were armored in white from head to heel as well. Kingsguard knights with the royal banner. Small wonder Lord Ashford and his sons came hurrying out the doors of the keep, and the fair maid too, a short girl with yellow hair and a round pink face. She does not seem so fair to me, Dunk thought. The puppet girl was prettier. Boy, let go of that nag and see to my horse. A rider had dismounted in front of the stables. He is talking to me, Dunk realized. I am not a stable boy, my lord. Not clever enough. The speaker wore a black cloak bordered in scarlet satin, but underneath was a raiment bright as flame, all reds and yellows and golds. Slim and straight as a dirk, though only of middling height, he was near Dunk's own age. Curls of silver gold hair framed a face sculpted and imperious, high brow and sharp cheekbones, straight nose, pale smooth skin without blemish. His eyes were a deep violet colour. If you cannot manage a horse, fetch me some wine and a pretty wench. My lord, pardons, I'm no serving man either. I have the honour to be a knight. Knighthood has fallen on sad days, said the princeling. But then one of the stable boys came rushing up, and he turned away to hand him the reins of his palfrey, a splendid blood bay. Dunk was forgotten in an instant. Relieved, he slunk back inside the stables to wait for the master of horse. He felt ill at ease enough around the lords in their pavilions. He had no business speaking to princes. That the beautiful stripling was a prince, he had no doubt. The Targaryens were the blood of lost Valyria across the seas, and their silver gold hair and violet eyes set them apart from common men. Dunk knew Prince Baelor was older, but the youth might well have been one of his sons, Valar, who was often called the young prince, to set him apart from his father, or Mataz, the even younger prince, as old Lord Swan's fool had named him once. There were other princelings as well, cousins to Valar and Mataris. Good King Darren had 4 grown sons, 3 were sons of their own. The line of the Dragon Kings had almost died out during his father's day, but it was commonly said that Darren II and his sons had left it secure for all time. You asked for me. Lord Ashford's master of horse had a red face made redder by his orange livery and a brusque manner of speaking. What is it? I have no time for... I want to sell this palfrey, Dunk broke in quickly, before the man could dismiss him. She's a good horse, sure of foot. I have no time, I tell you. The man gave Sweetfoot no more than a glance. My lord of Ashford has no need of such. Take her to the town. Perhaps Henley will give you a silver or 3. That quick, he was turning away. Thank you, my lord, Dunk said, before he could go. My lord, has the king come? The master of horse laughed at him. No, thank the gods. This infestation of princesses is trial enough. Where am I going to find the stalls for all these animals? And fodder. He strode off shouting at his stable boys. By the time Dunk left the stable, Lord Ashford had escorted his princely guests into the house, but 2 of the Kingsguard knights in their white armour and snowy cloaks still lingered in the yard. talking with the captain of the guard. Dunk halted before them. "My lords, I am Sir Duncan the Tall." "Well met, Sir Duncan," answered the bigger of the white knights. "I am Sir Roland Craighill, and this is my sworn brother, Sir Donald of Duskendale." The 7 champions of the King's Guard were the most pursuant warriors in all the 7 kingdoms, saving only perhaps the Crown Prince, Baylor Breakspear himself. "Have you come to enter the list?" Dunk asked anxiously. "It would not be fitting for us to ride against those we are sworn to protect," answered Sir Donald, red of hair and beard. "Prince Villar has the honour to be one of the Lady Ashford's champions," explained Sir Roland, "and 2 of his cousins mean to challenge. The rest of us have come only to watch." Relieved, Dunk thanked the white knights for their kindness and rode out through the castle gates before another prince should think to accost him. 3 princelings, he pondered as he turned the palfrey toward the streets of Ashford town. Villar was the eldest son of Prince Baylor, second in line to the Iron Throne, but Dunk did not know how much of his father's fabled prowess with lance and sword he might have inherited. About the other Targaryen princes he knew even less. What will I do if I have to ride against a prince? Will I even be allowed to challenge one so high-born? He did not know the answer. The old man had often said he was thick as a castle wall, and just now he felt it. Henley liked the look of Sweetfoot well enough until he heard Dunk wanted to sell her. Then all the stablemen could see in her were faults. He offered 300 silvers. Dunk said he must have 3,000. After much arguing and cursing, they settled at 750 silver stags. That was a deal closer to Henley's starting price than to Dunk's, which made him feel the loser in the tilt, but the stablemen would go no higher, so in the end he had no choice but to yield. A second argument began when Dunk declared that the price did not include the saddle, and Henley insisted that it had. Finally it was all settled, as Henley left to fetch his coin. Dunk stroked Sweetfoot's mane and told her to be brave. "If I win, I'll come back and buy you again. I promise." He had no doubt that all the palfrey's flaws would vanish in the intervening days, and she would be worth twice what she was today. The stableman gave him 3 gold pieces, and the rest in silver. Dunk bit one of the gold coins and smiled. He had never tasted gold before, nor handled it. Dragons. Men called the coins, since they were stamped with the 3-headed dragon of House Targaryen on one side. The other bore the likeness of the king. 2 of the coins Henley gave him had King Daeron's face. The third was older, well-worn, and showed a different man. His name was there under his head, but Dunk could not read the letters. Gold had been shaved off its edges too, he saw. He pointed this out to Henley, and loudly. The stableman grumbled, but handed over another few silvers and a fistful of coppers to make up the weight. Dunk handed a few of the coppers right back, and nodded at Sweetfoot. "That's for her," he said. "See that she has some oats tonight, and an apple too." With the shield on his arm and the sack of old armour slung over his shoulder, Dunk set out on foot to the sunny streets of Ashford town. The heft of all that coin in his pouch made him feel queer, almost giddy on one hand and anxious on the other. The old man had never trusted him with more than a coin or 2 at a time. He could live a year on this much money, and what will I do when it's gone? Sell thunder? That road ended in beggary or outlawry. This chance will never come again. I must risk it all. By the time he splashed back across the ford to the south bank of the Coggleswent, the morning was almost done and the tourney grounds had come to life once more. The wine sellers and sausage makers were doing a brisk trade, and Dancing Bear was shuffling along to his master's playing as a singer sang the bear, and the maiden fair. Jugglers were juggling, and the puppeteers were just finishing another fight. Dunk stopped to watch the wooden dragon slain. When the puppet knight cut its head off and the red sawdust spilled out onto the grass, he laughed aloud and threw the girl 2 coppers. "One for last night," he called. She caught the coins in the air and threw him back a smile, as sweet as any he had ever seen. Is it me she smiles at, or the coins? Dunk had never been with a girl, and they made him nervous. Once, 3 years passed when the old man's purse was full. After half a year in the service of blind Lord Florent, he told Dunk the time had come to take him to a brothel and make him a man. He'd be drunk, though, and when he was sober he did not remember. Dunk had been too embarrassed to remind him. He was certain he wanted a whore anyway. If he could not have a high-born maiden like a proper knight, he wanted one who at least liked him more than his silver. "Will you drink a horn of ale?" he asked the puppet girl, as she was scooping the sawdust blood back into her dragon. "With me, I mean. Or a sausage. I had a sausage last night, and it was good. They are made with pork, I think." "I thank you, my lord, but we have another show." The girl rose and ran off to the fierce fat Dornish woman who worked the pub at night while Dunk stood there feeling stupid. He liked the way she ran, though. A pretty girl and tall. I would not have to kneel to kiss that one. He knew how to kiss. A tavern girl had showed him one night in Lannisport a year ago, but she had been so short she had to sit on the table to reach his lips. The memory made his ears burn. What a great fool he was. It was jousting he should be thinking about, not kissing. Lord Ashford's carpenters were whitewashing the waist-high wooden barriers that would separate the jousters. Dunk watched them work a while. There were 5 lanes arrayed north to south, so none of the competitors would ride with the sun in his eyes. A 3-tiered viewing stand had been raised on the eastern side of the list with an orange canopy to shield the lords and ladies from rain and sun. Most would sit on benches, but 4 high-backed chairs had been erected in the centre of the platform for Lord Ashford, the fair maid, and the visiting princess. On the eastern verge of the meadow, a quinton had been set up, and a dozen knights were tilting at it, sending the pole arm spinning every time they struck the splintered shields suspended from one end. Dunk watched the brute of Bracken take his turn, and then Lord Karen of the Marchers. "I do not have as good a seat as any of them," he thought uneasily. Elsewhere, men were training afoot, going at each other with wooden swords, while the squire stood shouting ribald advice. Dunk watched a stocky youth try to hold off a muscular knight who seemed lithe and quick as a mountain cat. Both had the red apple of the Fossleways painted on their shields, but the younger man's was soon hacked and chipped to pieces. "Here's an apple that's not ripe yet," the older said as he slammed the other's helm. The younger Fossaway was bruised and bloody by the time he yielded, but his foe was hardly wounded. He raised his visor, looked about, saw Dunk, and said, "You there? Yes, you, the big one. Knight of the Winged Chalice, is that a long sword you wear?" "It is mine by rights," Dunk said defensively. "I am Sir Duncan the Tall." "And I, Sir Stefan Fossaway. Would you care to try me, Sir Duncan the Tall? Would be good to have someone new to cross sword with. My cousin's not ripe yet, as you've seen." "Do it, Sir Duncan," urged the beaten Fossaway as he removed his helm. "I may not be ripe, but my good cousin is rotten to the core. Knock the seeds out of him." Dunk shook his head. Why were these lordlings involving him in their quarrel? He would have no part of it. "I thank you, sir, but I have matters to attend." He was uncomfortable carrying so much coin. The sooner he paid Steely Bait and got his armour, the happier he would be. Sir Stefan looked at him scornfully. "The Hedge Knight has matters." He glanced about and found another likely opponent loitering nearby. "Sir Grant, well met. Come try me. I know every feeble trick my cousin Raymond has mastered, and it seems that Sir Duncan needs to return to the Hedges. Come, come." Dunk stalked away red-faced. He did not have many tricks himself, feeble or otherwise, and he did not want anyone to see him fight until the tourney. The old man always said that the better you knew your foe, the easier it was to best him. Knights like Sir Stephen had sharp eyes to find a man's weakness at a glance. Dunk was strong and quick, and his weight and reach were in his favour, but he did not believe for a moment that his skills were the equal of those of these others. Sir Arlen had taught him as best he could, but the old man had never been the greatest of knights, even when young. Great knights do not live their lives in the hedges, or die by the side of a muddy road. "That will not happen to me," Dunk vowed. "I will show them that I can be more than a hedge knight." "Sir Duncan," the younger Fossaway hurried to catch him, "I should not have urged you to try my cousin. I was angry with his arrogance, and you're so large, I thought, well, it was wrong of me. You wear no armor. He would have broken your hand if he could, or a knee. He likes to batter men in the training yard, so they'll be bruised and vulnerable later, should he meet them in the list. He did not break you. No, but I am his own blood, though. His is the senior branch of the apple tree, as he never ceases to remind me. I am Raymond Fossaway. Well met. Will you and your cousin ride in the tourney? He will, for a certainty. As to me, would that I could. I am only a squire as yet. My cousin has promised to knight me, but insists that I am not ripe yet. Raymond had a square face, a pug nose, and short woolly hair, but his smile was engaging. You have the look of a challenger, it seems to me. Whose shield do you mean to strike? Makes no difference, said Dunk. That was what you were supposed to say, though it made all the difference in the world. I will not enter the list until the third day. And by then some of the champions will have fallen. Yes, Raymond said. Well, may the warrior smile on you, sir. And you. If he is only a squire, what business do I have being a knight? One of us is a fool. The silver in Dunk's pouch clinked with every step, but he could lose it all in a heartbeat, he knew. Even the rules of this tourney worked against him, making it very unlikely that he would face a green or feeble foe. There were a dozen different forms a tourney might follow, according to the whim of the lord who hosted it. Some were mock battles between teams of knights, others wild melees, where the glory went out to the last fighter left standing. Where individual combats were the rule, pairings were sometimes determined by lot, and sometimes by the master of the games.